Got a lot of compliments and thank yous and warm wishes from Bears fans on Twitter and on YouTube after that Mitch Trubisky video yesterday. It's getting a little cozy in here. So, to start off my Week 1 recap, the Bears are in last place in the NFC North. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to the episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I am your host, Tom Grossi, and yes, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're still going to do the fantasy recap later this evening. That'll be a separate video, but I was like, hey, Tom, you work a 12-hour day. Why not do 2 videos? Because I don't believe in health. But jumping into Week 1 recap, I would say overall it was a pretty solid week of action, capped off by last night, not the Raiders and Broncos, no one cares about that, but the game of the week between the Texans and the Saints. Holy crap, man. What a freaking game. That game had everything you could possibly desire, except a whole lot of defense. And that the Saints defense was just letting Deshaun Watson just ball out on them. And you had 2 scores within a minute of the fourth quarter expiring. So, and a game-ending field goal. So that game was absolutely phenomenal. But let's do a little bit of a recap of some of the biggest stories over the weekend. Obviously, one of the biggest stories is the Cleveland freaking fracking Browns. Yeah, the Browns bandwagon just got a whole lot lighter after being destroyed 43-13 by the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, I gave the Browns the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, oh, they have a good team, and they'll do fine. And you know what? It's not that I'm disappointed in their offense, but their defense, holy crap, man. That defense, I thought, was going to be a staple of that team, considering they have major, major playmakers on that team and Demarius Randall. But getting blown out 43-13, Mayfield obviously struggled in that he went 25 for 30, but 285 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. It was just an ugly day for him all around. You had Odell Beckham Jr. leading the pack with receiving yards, and you had Njoku getting the only TD for the Browns that day. But really, just yikes. And so, while the bandwagon has definitely got lighter, I mean, where do you go from here? I think that, again, it is week 1. We cannot make any snap judgments about any teams, but I think this was definitely a big blow to the Cleveland Browns, who came in with, I would argue, like the most hyped team of the offseason, in that, like, this was their year. Lots of people predicting that they're going to win the division, and not a good outing for their first one, especially against the Titans, who, quite honestly, I wasn't expecting a whole lot from this year. I saw them finishing last in their division, but is this the Titans being for real? Is this the Browns just sucking? I think it's a combination of both, and I think overall the Browns will improve, but you know, some of that, even with the penalties, there were so many penalties. That's not just the bad defense or the bad offense, that's also bad coaching. So it's going to be interesting to see if Kitchens can pull it out. Then you had Lamar Jackson single-handedly end the Dolphins' career. Like, just ended them completely. Because holy crap. The Ravens scored 42 points in the first half with a final score of 59-10 against the Dolphins. Jackson, who was just like, hey, remember that one time everyone just called me a running back? Run this, because that guy was absolutely insane. Going 17 for 20, 324 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Hell, even RG3 hobbled out on the field and threw a touchdown against the Dolphins. And listen, I knew the Dolphins were going to be bad this year, but holy crap. This was a whole nother level of just terribleness. Just pure terribleness. Ryan Fitzpatrick threw an interception now for his 8th team, which I think is a record. And apparently the news story came out that after the game, Dolphins players were on the phone with their agents of just like, please, get me the hell out of here, because nobody wants to play for Miami. So I wouldn't be surprised if next week we have a starting cornerback being Dan Marino and his running back being Ace Ventura, because damn, it's looking bad in Miami to get blown out that bad. And again, Lamar Jackson, if he's able to develop as a pocket passer and also be this running threat, watch out, because that offense is going to be amazing. I drafted Mark Ingram in every single fantasy league, and he had a great day because they're going to utilize that ground game. But now you have Lamar Jackson, who's just like, I'm going to drop 5 touchdowns. Oh, and if you can get Marquise Brown, run and go get him. So that was absolutely incredible. And then you have the New York Jets blow a 16-point lead to the Buffalo Bills. Yep, that's the whole story. Le'Veon Bell did a whole lot of stuff, but 16-point lead. They blew it. So basically, they were the Jets. Then you had the Minnesota Vikings, which everyone was blowing up the social medias about, going, oh my God, Tom, did you see how the Vikings dismantled the Falcons? Good. I want them to dismantle the Falcons. So when we destroy them next Sunday, there will be no excuses. Kirk Cousins only touched the ball 10 times, which is, better for the Vikings if he doesn't touch the ball at all. Dalvin Cook rushed 21 times, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook had an amazing game, and I think that's going to be the key to the Vikings' success. Obviously, it's going to be their great defense, and if they can get that running game going, not really having to utilize Kirk Cousins a whole lot, I think they're going to be better off for it. So I'm a little bit worried next week because obviously the Vikings offense looked a lot better than the Bears offense, but we do have a better defense this time around. We just got to hope that our offense is up for the challenge. Then you had the Lions blow a double-digit lead to tie the Cardinals. I didn't watch the game because I have self-esteem and some dignity. But I saw the score and they were winning and I was like, oh wow, they blew them out. I had Kyler Murray in one of my fantasy leagues and I was like, wow, he did absolutely terrible. Not a good start for the rookie number 1 pick. And then the next time I checked, they tied. They blew a double-digit lead, and the Cardinals came back and tied them because the Lions were like, we're just going to play prevent defense the entire time. So yeah, that was pretty terrible. But at the end of the day, some guy who really impressed me, and I had a feeling that he would, is T.J. Hawkinson. T.J. Hawkinson had a great day, was targeted up the wazoo, and could be a huge receiving threat for Matthew Stafford, and also the guy can block like nobody's business. But if T.J. Hawkinson is still available in your fantasy leagues, I might want to snatch him up because I can see him doing pretty well this year. Then on Sunday Night Football, you had the New England Patriots blow out the Steelers, end our hopes and dreams, and this is even without Antonio Brown playing, 33-3. Not only was the Pittsburgh offense anemic, their defense also sucked ass, and Tom Brady looked incredible. The guy is like 106 years old. Stop. Just stop. So obviously they won 33-3. If you put all those numbers together, 333, and multiply it by 2, that's the number that Tom Brady called to sell his soul to get eternal youth. So just so you know that. And again, they got Antonio Brown over the weekend, and he's still coming. Seriously, just God help us all. And then we already talked about the Saints and Texans game and how great that game was. Obviously, both teams should be amazing this year. And the Saints defense, I have to say, disappointed me a bit, considering that they were ranked a lot higher last year. But the Raiders stomped the Broncos, in which I have to say I'm completely surprised. After they lost AB, I was like, oh man, they're essentially done. And I don't know if you heard it, but there was an FAB chant that started in the stands, which was pretty great. If you could find it online, it's definitely worth a listen to because they're not bitter at all. But yeah, Raiders actually impressed me a lot. Josh Jacobs looked damn good for his debut. And so I'm not going to say the Raiders are a threat in the AFC West because, of course, you still have teams like the Chiefs and you also have teams like the Chargers, but they may surpass some expectations. Obviously, there was other games that are involved. The Rams just pulled out and squeaked out a win against the Panthers. You also had Philadelphia barely hold on against the Redskins, and the Redskins were embarrassing them for the majority of that game, but the Eagles were able to hold on. Carson Wentz didn't look so bad. Cincinnati actually looked halfway decent without A.J. Green. They should have beat the Seahawks, and so the Seahawks were able to pull off squeak out a win there, which I was not very happy about. I watched 5 minutes of the Dallas and New York Giants game and didn't care, but I did see Randall Cobb caught a touchdown, and it made me want to cry. I hope Randall Cobb catches the ball against the Packers, rips off the jersey to reveal that he's a Packer double agent, and runs into the other end zone. That would be my dream. And then finally, you had the San Francisco 49ers knocking off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which no one expects anything from. There's no shocker there because they're, again, still going with Jameis Winston, who's the only person he really beat was, again, that Uber person. And that's it. No other teams. But let me know what you thought about week 1. I think overall, pretty damn good week. And we got an exciting lineup for week 2. Some shockers, some people falling down to earth. And if you care about power rankings, the Packers are in the top 10 for the NFL. Right where they should be. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. What was your favorite game of the week? What was the biggest surprise for you? You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all the social media you see down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, and of course Spotify and YouTube. And then also a big shout out and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy. Check that out for some cool rewards. Thank you so much for watching. We'll do fantasy in a little bit. It'll be out later this evening. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.